On Monday it was cabinet reshuffle time, which means out with the dead wood and in with the new wood. Not like quality oak, obviously, more MDF. Robert Jenrick is out as Housing Secretary. Now, Jenrick's offences aren't as egregious as some of his colleagues, consisting, as they do, mostly of overruling councils and inspectorates so that he can give tax breaks and contracts to his friends, harking back to the friendly Tory 90s sleaze. It's just a perk of the job, isn't it? Like, paid for taxis or getting the poor to fund your holiday home. Furious Dominic Raab is done as Home Secretary.
What they tend to find is the typical user of food bank is not someone that's languishing in poverty, it's someone who has a cash flow problem.
Raab, of course, looks like someone who should be aggressively trying to sell you finance on a Ford Mondeo, and was on holiday relaxing whilst the Taliban were taking over Afghanistan. He also famously didn't realise that quite a lot of trade went between Dover and Calais. He also said this, like it was fine.
Would you describe yourself as a feminist?
No, probably not.
Finally, in terms of people who are out, it's Gavin Williamson, everyone's favourite education secretary. And he had a string of hits, most notably how to completely screw over A-level students during COVID so that those in the most disadvantaged areas got hit the hardest. He also had more minor hits with not advising schools about how to deal with children returning after COVID and conflating two black people because he thought he'd spoken with one and he'd actually spoken with the other. One was a rugby player, one was a footballer, but they're both black, so it's an easy mistake to make. Liz Truss is the new Foreign Secretary, taking over from angry Raab.
Liz Truss has been accused of making a catastrophic blunder that could see UK companies who sign up to the government's flagship Freeport programme lose out on export markets worth up to £35 billion a year.
Truss, inexplicably, has become incredibly popular both amongst the Tory electorate and her peers, principally because she's a dab hand at cutting and pasting trade deals with ferocity. The new Culture Secretary, Nadine Dorries, she's friends with Boris Johnson's wife. Which wife? I don't know. If he can't keep up with them, how do you expect me to? She's also a person who has, not satirically, used the term snowflake to describe people with more left-leaning views than her. She also called Black Lives Matter an anti-capitalist group. Properly mental, she presumably celebrated her promotion by primarily screaming something about woke culture whilst smothered in the blood of Karl Marx. And last and least, the new Trade Secretary. Last and least among this bunch, Christ. The new Trade Secretary, Anne-Marie Trevelyan, is a climate change denier. If you're as old as me, and you remember the 90s Tories, John Major, Ian Duncan Smith, William Hague, I would kill for a current government run by 90s Tories.